Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. This is a busy Monday for us. Thank you guys for taking time to come hang with me for a little bit. There's a lot that we're going to go over. We actually added 2 little segments to our coffee time. So Eric's been working hard on that. But he also gave me the reminder not to chit chat too much. Yes, you did. Don't even lie. No, we all know I end up talking a lot. So I have to be a little bit more reserved in how much I go off the, I want to say off script because it's not script. Anyway, we have a lot going on today. Like I said, we have a couple of new segments. So hi, everybody. I love it as always. This coffee time started out as just something that I thought I would try because I thought it would be fun. And it is. But I look really, really forward to it. One of my favorite things is being able to, just connect with people and meet people from all over the world. And this certainly has been an eye-opener and super fun. It's also a great way for, hi, Vicki, to kind of stay in touch with clients, whether they're clients that are currently waiting to close on their home building, or maybe they already closed on their home. It's just a great way for all of us to stay connected. So, hey, Tony from Claremont, how are you? I love it. I see all my friends are here. Oh, wow. That sounded like, what was it? Romper Room? Is anybody old enough to remember Romper Room? And they look through the little glass. I see. Yeah. Anyway, but I see all my friends. So thank you guys for joining us. We have a lot to do today. We have a lot to catch up on. We have a special guest, all of that fun stuff. So I'm going to just do a quick reminder. We want to make sure that we answer questions. If you have a question, if you could put the Q, capital Q with a colon, that just helps me when I go back and when I kind of search for those questions. If you don't, that's okay. But if you do, that's helpful. So that will be super nice. Eric came in and hit the ticker, and every time he does something like that, it throws my brain. So sorry about that. But yes, if you put the Q with the colon, that helps me search for questions because I want to try to get to all of them. And again, lots to catch everybody up on. So good morning, Carrie. How are you? Oh my goodness, so many people. I love it. Susan Forsgren. Hold on. Wait. I got to put my hello, Susan Forsgren. So Susan, you are also going to be a guest. One of these days, we will put you on here. We will talk about our days in Virginia and our McDonald's breakfasts. Shocker, right, people, that I had breakfast at McDonald's with Susan. But hello to you, my sweet friend. So we have lots of catching up to do. And speaking of that, we're going to kind of get going right on into what's brewing today. Because there's a lot. And I don't know how much time you want to spend with me this morning, but I'm figuring it's probably not 2 hours. So let's go ahead and get going. Okay, so our 3 what's brewing topics for today, we're going to have back to school. We're going to follow up on that DIY project that I did at my son's home. And then vultures. That's quite a teaser, isn't it, my friends? So the first thing we're going to talk about is back to school. So Florida's a little bit different. There's some different things that they do here, which I think are, some of them are quite fun. And I wish they did them back where we were in Virginia, although they might at this point. One of them is for the high school that my son attends. We actually go to West Orange High School. We are actually zoned for the New Horizon High School, but he is a senior, and they get that priority of being able to remain at that school so that they can finish out their high school experience at their school. But what they do as seniors is they get to paint their parking space. So there's a special day that we have. It's Senior Parking Space Painting Day. You pay for your parking space, your parking ticket for the year. They're all numbered, and year after year after year, they cover them up, and then you paint over them. You choose your logo. So this is my son's. He opted to do this skull with some stripes. Now I have to tell you, we kind of adapted as we started. Those were supposed to be a little bit of a camo design back behind it, but we decided we wanted to make sure it looked a little bit more crisp. So we got rid of the cameo. I was just drawing it with like sidewalk chalk, and before we painted anything, of course. Anyway, so we opted for the stripes there toward the end. That actually resembles, or it's supposed to be one of the a band logo that my son really likes. Well, those are four of my children. I have four that I actually gave birth to. One of those, Hong, is my son-in-law. But you have Hong, my son Dawson, who is the senior. It is his parking space. My daughter Alyssa, which is Hong's wife. If you'll notice, so I want you to look at her shirt. She has a turquoise T-shirt that says Boo Crew 2020. So if you look directly to her side, that is Elizabeth. So Elizabeth is my other daughter. She was the class of 2020. And when we painted her spots, we all had T-shirts that said Boo Crew because we call her Boo. Her name is Elizabeth, but we call her Boo or Boo Boo. And so we all had T-shirts. Dawson didn't really want the T-shirt vibe, which is totally okay. But Elizabeth's was a Monsters Inc. We did the door for her parking space a few years ago. But Dawson chose this logo. So we painted on Saturday. I have to tell you, it's a really fun atmosphere. That other picture kind of shows you, I just did one kind of around us. You can really see all the, the kids and the tents that we set up and the coolers, and people are playing music. And it's just a really cool thing, excuse me, to be able to kind of experience. It kind of sets those seniors off, have a little moment of, kind of they're special. So they get to have their parking space, and that's kind of their little spot for the whole year. So that's a lot of fun. So speaking of back to school, we're going to check in with my bestie. Her name is Jennifer Ross, and I've been so excited to do this, and hopefully I don't screw it up. So we're going to try. Eric, you be on standby in case I hit wrong buttons. Okay, I'm trying. Okay, Jen, are you there?
I'm here.
She's there. Okay.
Hello.
Yay. So it is a little, we have matching mugs. Cheers. Cheers, my sweet friend. So we're a little jig-jaggedy, Jen, but it's okay. I think it's going to get better. So we're just going to keep on going.
All good here.
You sound fine. It's getting better, actually. So Jen and I have our little mugs. It's Jennifer and Amy. And I have to tell you that, first of all, this woman is so special to me. She is, even though she's absolutely gorgeous and stunning and magnificent on the outside, you have no idea the beautiful, genuine heart that is on the inside. So, and another little hidden secret, Jen, you know this because you hear me say the story all the time, but Jennifer and her husband, Daryl, are really the reason that I started doing these videos. Legitimately 100%. I was not in real estate. Oh, look at that. That's one of my favorite pictures. That's the four of us. I think it was at a birthday breakfast.
Yeah. French cafe.
Yes, French cafe. Oh my God. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. But yeah, when we first moved here, we were trying to get Daryl and Jen to move here. And so I was doing these little impromptu videos in my neighborhood trying to get them to move in. And I'd walk through the house and look at this floor plan. So that's how my Heart and Home Orlando home tour videos actually started, was legitimately for this beautiful woman that is right there, and her husband and her gorgeous, amazing, talented children. And by the way, she lives in Florida, so it worked. All right. Yep. So Miss Jennifer, so we were going to talk a little bit about back to school. And you and I both, neither of us are Floridians by nature. You've lived in many more places than I have, my sweet friend. But what was one of the things that was most difficult to adjust to here for schools? I remember Wednesday was really weird for me. What was it for you that kind of messed things up?
Yeah, the early Wednesday did a little bit because I was like, oh, what is that? Right midweek. So it took a while to remember, get the kids at 2, right? Instead of.
And how do people have jobs that a 9-to-5 job? How do those people, I'm sorry, on Wednesdays I have to leave an hour earlier to pick up the kid. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, well, and the lines sometimes start at noon on those, or noon on those days, or any day for pickup, right? You see cars lining up 3 hours early sometimes. It's great.
And I'm surprised they allow it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's so that was something I didn't realize when we moved here, when I called the school to get the kids registered. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, here where we live on Wednesdays, schools end 1 hour earlier. there's lots of speculation as to why, so I won't even get into that. The reality is on Wednesdays, they end school an hour earlier. So if your elementary school age child, which cannot drive themselves to school, and remember, we don't have a lot of buses, right, Jen?
Right.
Well, we have buses, but if you live within a certain distance, is it 2 miles, I believe, as the crow flies to the school, that they don't provide transportation. So therefore now we have a lot of crossing guards. We need more. So if you're interested, everyone, rally around. But, you can either walk to school with crossing guards. Parents sometimes ride the bikes or they scooter or whatever. But then there's the parents who do the drop off and the pickup via their vehicle. And that's, you're exactly right. They line up so early for school that it like blocks some of the roads. So it was very different to get accustomed to that Wednesday they get off an hour early. Now, once they're in high school, that's kind of great, right? Because then if they have an after school job or they have, athletic events and practices and games and things like that. But definitely
they're done at 1. They're done at 1 for the high school kids. So it allows them so much time for their job or their sports or
Did you have that when you were in school? I mean, it was full days every day, Monday through Friday?
Yeah, I don't remember there ever being an early release. So the kids are like, woohoo, Wednesday, right? They love it.
It's kind of cool. Although there's sometimes where I'm like, I wish they did that on Friday because then it would just give them a longer weekend. But, there's a reason for it all. Yeah, most definitely. So what about, so by the way, so for those of you again, so Jennifer is a dancer extraordinaire. We all come from this similar performing background. And, I had my studio in Virginia. Most of you know that. And Jennifer has not only been on billboards because she's so amazing and famous. You come on, were you not on a billboard? Yes or no? Were you on the billboards?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay then. Zip it. Okay. So yes. So she's amazing. But we're here now and teaching, my studio closed. I don't do that anymore, but Jennifer, you do. So I want you to tell everybody about, because I am so stinking proud of you. I remember when you first got here and this little idea of yours started, you kind of gave birth to this little idea of your dance program here. And then now where we are, however many years later. So tell everybody about, because if you don't brag about yourself, I will.
Okay. Well, first of all, can I brag on you for a moment? Realtor extraordinaire. First of all, Amy, you are one of the people who I go to for dance advice as well, because you own that studio for so many years and are so knowledgeable about all things dance and studio. So I always pick your brain and I appreciate you for that. And I also want to tell you, because you were saying when you were doing the videos for us, trying to get us to move down here, we loved those videos. And I remember saying to you and Daryl as well, who's here in the background, saying, oh my goodness, she has to do this for a living. Like you were so passionate about it and you were so fabulous in those videos and helping us. And then when it came to buying our home, just all like, we had so many questions and we didn't really know what we were doing. And you knew all of the things. So we really appreciate you for that.
Well,
so, and plus you're just a wonderful friend. But yes, I do have a mobile studio here. I know, right? I do have a mobile studio here. So it's sort of interesting how it happened. I took the first year, as you know, the first year we were here, I took off work. I didn't do anything work-wise to get our kids settled into the new state, new school, all of that good stuff. And then I was kind of trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? And an opportunity to teach on location fell into place. And I thought, this is interesting. And I remember talking to you about that a lot around when that was happening. And we had a lot of discussions on that. And then I got some more classes and then some more classes and then another location. So it grew into this beautiful, beautiful little business. So I love it. I teach on location. I'm at a couple of communities in the area, Watermark and Waterley, and then at some of the schools, including the new Panther Lake that's opening this year.
That's amazing.
Water Spring Elementary, and Cranium Academy. So I'm at 5 locations this year. And so basically I go into the schools or the communities, I teach my classes there. and the kids come to me there, right in the convenience of their either schools or communities. So it works out really, really well for all of us, for me, the parents, the kiddos, and it's really wonderful.
Wow. And I'm so proud because we were just talking about, like, before we like clicked live or whatever, that all of your classes are full, right? You've only got a couple spots at Waterley left, but everything else is full, including like all this. I mean, that's amazing.
It is. And it's grown to that because, the first year when you're getting your name out there and just sort of spreading the word a little bit, enrollment was a little bit lower, understandably so. No one knows who you are and you're just starting marketing.
Right.
But I had a good number, but they weren't full by any means. And then just so each year, a little bit more to the point now where some of my classes, I have a 15-person wait list. So it's a really, really good, it's not a problem, but it's a good problem to have. So they say, it's a blessing. So
I'm so proud of you. That it really is fun to see. And I guess we've both kind of seen each other's venture kind of grow into something that neither of us quite expected. But I love it because
it's beautiful when that happens, right? When things fall into place rather than pushing and struggling to make something happen, and it just sort of authentically flows and happens. It's beautiful.
Because of that you just used, authentically. And on that note, it's because you are an authentically amazing, kind, generous, and uber talented person. And you, there's a difference between people who teach dance or teach anything, by the way. Teachers who teach and teachers who want to instill the love of it. And, I always say we were very, very blessed that all 4 of our children had the same kindergarten teacher, and she instilled in them a love of learning. It wasn't that she was just a good teacher, is that she gave them something that could carry with them through life. So you do the same thing. And I am so proud. I love seeing your little Instagram posts and the pictures of you with the kids. And I'm jealous that you have this wonderful, thriving dance business, yet none of the major overhead of the brick and mortar building that you have to deal with. So, and by the way, just to give you credit, that's hard. That's hard to go into different facilities to do that. So, I'm very proud of you, and I'm going to give you a cheers to you, my sweet, sweet, sweet friend. I love you, and there's my soul sister on the other side. I love you, my sweet friend. All right, so Eric tells me to now, but thank you for joining me. I love you. Tell Daryl I said hello.
Thanks for having me, Amy.
I will. You love you. Bye. Aw, I'm so sad. Okay, we are there. Back to what's brewing. Okay, so, oh my goodness. All right, so obviously Jen and I could talk for hours, and when we try to have our morning coffee, that's actually what exactly happens. So we will get back to our business. So let's go back to our DIY. So if you remember, last week I talked a little bit about my trip going back to Virginia to do my first DIY project on my son's home. We were going to attempt to paint his laminate countertops. If you remember, this was, I think this is the right button. This was his kitchen when he purchased the home. You can see the flooring, by the way, is still there. Eric is going to travel up in a few months, and we're going to change out that flooring to a luxury vinyl plank. You can see the white cabinets. You see the dated appliances. And then you can see the wallpaper, the green and white gingham. It's quite lovely. It's just dated to when the home was built, which was 1998. So there's nothing wrong with that. So now let's see if I can find the picture. Eric taught me how to do this. So I'm going to see if I can figure it. Hold on. Where is it? Bottom. Where is it? Right here? Okay. All right. All right. So here is what it looks like now. Again, the flooring is still the same. The pictures, I probably should have spread out a little bit more in the picture, but we changed out that lighting fixture. He has a new little table. We added some different curtains. But the main thing is if you look at the countertops. So the countertops in the other picture were green. So I used, in fact, I took all these pictures and I guess I just forgot to give them to Eric, but I took a picture of the type of paint that we used. It actually was Valspar. The videos that I watched on YouTube said to use Rust-Oleum, but they did not have it. It was kind of on a back order at Lowe's and Home Depot or wherever. So when I spoke to the paint person there at Lowe's, they suggested Valspar cabinet and furniture paint. It's a newer one. They used to have a furniture paint or a cabinet paint before, but this one is a little bit different. So the Valspar cabinet and furniture, it was amazing. I will tell you that the counters look incredible. I cleaned them, I sanded them, I cleaned them again, and then I painted them. And then, oh, good. Thank you, dear. There's the other picture. And by the way, that's kind of a deeper brown. Remember, these counters are a 1 to a 2 year temporary fix. We actually were going to try to do a DIY backsplash, and then I changed my mind. Because if you look at that countertop, do you see the counter has the little lip? It's the little, it kind of lips up like this. If you have backsplash, your countertop is going to be, typically speaking, is going to be flat. So when we go to replace this counter, and this is important, by the way. So if you're buying a new construction home, if you're trying to change something out, that little lip is its own little backsplash on that laminate countertop. However, if we go to replace that with granite or quartz or something, it's going to be a flat slab, and that lip is going to not be there because we're going to add backsplash from the bottom of that countertop up to the top of the bottom of the cabinets, if that makes sense. So we actually bought all this backsplash stuff, and then we changed our mind. I was like, you know what, let's not do that, because when we replace these counters, we'll do the correct backsplash at that time. So this is just a little temporary fix. Again, it's kind of it's a brown with a little gray undertone. So again, it kind of fits the color scheme and the vibe that we've got going on there. But I will tell you, it painted very well. I changed out the hardware. You might notice again, hold on. You might notice again that the, where's the kitchen? He moved it. I can't find the picture. Oh, there it is. You might notice, I don't see where it is. Where's the other one?
Under the one.
If you see, too fancy. Okay. All right. So there we go. Thank you, honey. So if you look, you see now we have the stainless appliances. We changed out his dishwasher. We changed out the oven. We changed out the microwave and the refrigerator. Anyway, so my attempt at the DIY project, I will say, was a success. You are not supposed to put, or you do not have to put, like a protective, like epoxy or a poly or anything over top of it, which feels weird. So if you'll notice in the picture, I have a lot of table or placemats, and I said, just keep your stuff on that. Like, don't slide stuff across it if you don't have to, because I'm sure it will probably scratch up eventually. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that with you. It was a success. We had a couple of other pictures. Again, I'm not really sure how to get into them, so we're just going to skip them. And I don't know how to get to them. All right. So going back here. So again, the DIY, it was a success. I would say on a scale of ease, it was very easy. One being like super easy, 10 being hard. I would say it was like a 2. It was not hard at all to do. As far as the coverage, that was easy. That was like amazing. And then it was 2 coats, and you have to wait 4 hours between the coats. And then as far as the durability, that part I won't be able to answer, but I can just kind of tell that it's probably not going to be, it definitely is not a forever fix, put it that way. But I have seen videos, FYI, and then I'm going to stop and move on to the next one. I have seen people who tried to paint their countertops white. And I think that what's going to made his look better is it was already a dark green, and then we kind of went to the dark brown. Whereas if it had been the dark green and we tried to paint it white, that coverage is not going to last as long. And if it scratches, then something's going to peel up. So keep that in mind. All right. So vultures. Have I teased you enough with vultures? So this is really funny. And I'm just going to share this story because sometimes you have to just let things go, because I am the person, if something happens, I let it it just harbors and it just infests in me. And this one, I'm just going to let go. So I have to tell you about a funny situation. I had a client or a woman reach out to me, as most people do. They reach out, they fill out some paperwork that I need them to fill out, just information, what they're looking for. Then we schedule a time to chat on the phone. We have a lovely, probably an hour-long phone conversation about what they're looking for, timeline, answering questions, asking questions. And I found them this perfect house in a perfect community. They came in town to look at it. Gave them all the information. Eric actually went out. There was 4, it was new construction. There was 4 of this particular home under construction. Eric went out prior to their visit to do drone videos so they could see each of those specific, I can say it, specific home sites, what the view was going to look like. And they came in town on, I believe it was, I don't know, Friday or Saturday. That was when I was in, no, it must have been earlier. Anyway, I was in Virginia, so I had arranged. Eric met them over at the community, met with my contact there at the community. Did a lot of work. The meeting went wonderful. They got all the information. And then I come back in town. So it's probably like 3 days later. And I just sent a text message and said, hey, I was just following up. I'm back in town now. How did you like that floor plan that you saw over at such and such community? And the text response that I got back was, you are all vultures and you can go straight to hell. I'm like, oh my God. So I immediately called because I'm like, what did I say in my text message that like lit the fire from hell? I don't know. So I called, but of course she didn't answer. So I texted, I said, I am so sorry. I don't know what prompted that, but I'm absolutely not a vulture. In fact, and I have, by the way, some of you that are here watching are my clients, and you probably know that I have said this, so I want you to validate this. I always tell my clients, and I relate this back to dance. I know we just had Jen on talking about dance, but I tell all of my clients on the phone that I am not going to rush you. I don't pressure you. This is literally what I say. I will teach you the steps to the dance, but you get to set the tempo. That is literally what I say. Because it's the truth. I'll tell you what we need to do, but you get to tell me how fast you want to go, how slow you need to go. There's no pressure. Back when it was the feeding frenzy market, I would tell people time is of the essence. If you want this home, you might need to act a little bit faster, but that has to be a you decision, not a me decision. Anyway, so I just thought that was funny. I have to tell you, I don't ever get things like that, which is probably why I'm most shocked that literally a very sincere reaching out saying, hey, what did you think of that floor plan? By the way, there were 4, now there's only 2 of those. So I reached out just saying, what'd you think of it? And the response, literally, you are all vultures. You can go straight to hell, in all caps. Okay, so sorry. Anyway, all right, so let's do this. Let's go. Let me see if I can have a few questions. Eric, can I click off of this, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to click off of that. All right, do we have any questions before I scoot? Okay, let me see. Okay, D-Town, Pulte and Taylor Morrison both are offering $50,000 savings. Do you have any information or comments on how real the savings are that are being offered by the builders? Yes, so this is a good question. And this is very important for you to know as well. Again, this is where we are now. I don't know where you are across the country or outside of the country, what it looks like there. But I will tell you that I am constantly getting messages and updates from the builders increasing their incentives. So this kind of goes back to the question, the big looming question, are prices going to go down? No. New construction is not going to go down. They're not going to have sold homes for X amount and then all of a sudden, tank it. But what they are going to do, excuse me, is they're going to increase some incentives. And so, yes, when you see that, they're going to give you now $20,000 flex cash if you use their preferred lender. By the way, remember that in 99.999 of these cases, those incentives are tied into you using their preferred lender. So if you're using, Bank of America as your lender and you're buying with the builder, you don't get the same closing cost contribution. It's only if you use their lender, because that way they're kind of, and I say double dipping, I don't mean that in a negative way, because that's fine. But you're purchasing the home from them and they're also servicing that loan. But so yeah, the savings are real. I mean, closing costs are a real thing. That is money that you have to bring to closing with you. So you have to have budgeted for it. And if your closing costs, which by the way is typically about 5% of your loan amount, just as a generic number to play with, if you have to come to the table with an extra $15,000 towards closing costs at the end, and the builder is saying, if you use our preferred lender, we'll give you $12,000 in closing costs. that's helpful. That's real money you don't have to come to the table with. Now, when they do things like, we'll give you the $10,000 towards closing costs, and they then tell you to buy down the rate with it. Let's say their interest rate is substantially higher, and then they give you an incentive and they tell you, well, let's use that $10,000 or that $12,000 if we can buy down the rate. Well, at that point, it's not much of a savings really, because if you had a better rate with Bank of America, you could have just used them. So the answer to your question is, yeah, those really are savings, because it's their way of adjusting to the market shift a little bit. And, they're not necessarily marking up the home to then discount it, because that's not really the way it's working either. But the incentives increasing is definitely a way that the builder can help kind of, entice you to purchase, because they're feeling it a little bit, by the way. So, but yeah, that's a great question. That was a good one. Thank you. Any other questions? There are a few. I'm going to click on this one, Ricardo. My wife and I chose you guys because it feels like we know you. We love your energy. You know what? So here's the thing. That, I will probably cry, because that is exactly why I do what I do. I love people, everybody, everywhere. I don't care who you are or anything. And we get this one life, and I don't care if it's just one little comment on this little coffee time. That just warmed my heart. So thank you. Seriously, I'm gonna cry a little bit. Monica from Southern Indiana. Hey, Monica. Let me see. I'm gonna go up and hey, Eric, can you assist me? Oh wait, I figured out how to do it. I'm getting better at this. Hold on. Cute. Well, I just figured out how to, I'm like, I can't move it. Okay. So Sydney, you said no school buses. So yeah, let me correct myself. Yes, we do have school buses. But if you live within 2 miles of the school as the crow flies, they do not provide transportation. Unless, however, they do not have safe passage. If they do not have sidewalks for your children to get to school safely, then of course they're going to provide transportation. But in most cases, that's kind of the rule. And that's weird, because in Virginia, you could live across the street from the school and they still had a bus stop at your house. So that was different. D-Town, we actually did yours. Let's see. Captain Banana, my friend who was contracted at West Haven shares that the salesperson told her that the model homes will be open in October. Do you think they will start sales at that time as well? So at West Haven at Ovation, so they're already building. All of those things are already under construction, and they've actually already started selling in West Haven at Ovation. So they may have just kind of paused their sales, but they've been selling over at Silverleaf with Meritage. There's no models anywhere even remotely ready. So they're selling. Sometimes they just kind of have to put the pause while they're dealing with some of the other issues, the water main issues and things. Susie Q, is there still a feeding frenzy for new builds? Is that calmed down? Definitely calmed down, Susie Q. Definitely has calmed down, which is again kind of it's acknowledged in the fact that I keep getting text messages on my phone. Hey, I think the builder could go to 20,000 in flex cash if you've got anybody that's ready now. And part of it is because they've been continuing to try to build this inventory. And so now they don't have a surplus. There's not an overwhelming amount of inventory out there. But yeah, the builders are feeling it too. And so that's why they're increasing the incentives. But it's still selling. Like I said, the other day I had a lady, I showed her 4 homes, and Eric looked this morning, 2 of them have sold. So it is still selling for sure. It's just not, it's not like you have to, make a snap decision in a millisecond. That's a good one though. Thank you. Are there any new construction townhomes in Claremont, Winter Garden, Horizon West? New construction townhomes.
There's some new ones on the Waterley list.
Yeah, I was gonna say Waterley has some in the Waterley community in Horizon West. They have some that are open there. They have 2 floor plans, the Ibis and the Sandhill. Both are, I think one is like 1,500 plus square feet. The other one's like 1,700, I think, square feet. Both of them have single car garages. That's probably one of the biggest differences between the Waterley townhomes and the other townhomes here in this area, is that everyone else has a 2-car garage and they have a single bay garage. But the community is so stinking nice that whatever, you can park in your driveway. But why don't you, Kelly, text me, and then I can send you a list of maybe some other ones. Claremont has a lot going on. There's a lot of things, but I don't know of any actual new, There might be a couple. So if you want to text me, it's 407-848-8042. Yes, Eric's going to put the promo. 407-848-8042. Text me or something, and I'll see if I can get you a list. Because at the top of my head, other than Waterley, that's new, there's a lot of communities out there that I can go to. And then, all right, so let's see.
Yeah.
Lovely. When purchasing a new construction, is down payment due at closing costs? I don't know if I could completely understand that. Let me just tell you what I think you may have asked. So when you contract, your initial deposit is due from the builder. So remember, so when you have a mortgage, you have a loan, depending on your loan structure, you might have an FHA and you've got 3.5% down. You might have a conventional loan, maybe you have 20% down. Maybe you have some other kind of a loan configuration where you're financing 90%. And so you're only putting 10% down, whatever that is with your lender, that is something that you will have to pay. Now, when you build with the builder, if the builder requires that you pay 10% down at the time of contract, but your loan structure is 20% down payment, well, you just paid 10% because you gave 10% to the builder. That's all going toward your prepaids, right? Does that make sense? So you pay that at the time of contract. And I will say use that 10% as your number, although some builders are still doing 5%. And that might be something when we were talking about the market and shifting and new construction and how they're adapting, they might start to go back to their original 5% or maybe even less to contract on. Probably not, because part of that was the building material issues and that they have to front the money for that a little bit sooner than they used to. But as far as closing costs, so the actual money that you pay toward closing costs comes to the table at closing, if that makes sense. And that money was not calculated into your mortgage, right? So that's something that you have to bring. So that's like extra money that you have to pay at that time. Rob, any such thing as a single story townhome down there? You know what, Rob? I have to tell you, this drives me crazy. When Eric and I had our first townhome in Virginia, in Yorktown, we had an end unit, and the end units were ranchers. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, small little rancher, and it was on the end. Why? And I've told builders this. Why do they not do a single story, like townhome end unit? Because so many people need to downsize, or they can't do stairs, retirement purposes, whatever the case may be. I don't see any, Rob, and I should start a petition because I love your idea, and that's exactly what they should be doing. I don't know why they don't, but they don't. I mean, not that I know of anyway, not any that are around here, not any of the newer ones. So, oops, hey, Eric, I accidentally clicked off the comments, babe. Can you come fix me? Anyway, so while he's going to fix that, I'm going to show you one of our
new segment. Yeah.
I'm going to go to our new segment. This is Zillow Gone Wild. This is our so this is actually a Twitter account. So Zillow Gone Wild is not us. It is a Twitter account, and it's something that we just kind of I'll say for grins and giggles, though I think the saying is something else. But for grins and giggles, it's kind of fun to go through and look at some of these homes. So this is our Zillow Gone Wild home of the day. It's Port Townsend, Washington. It's only $1.5 million. And I honestly say only 1.5 because look at that. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous Victorian home. But it has 11 bedrooms, like 11. That is a lot of bedrooms. 11 bedrooms, 8.5 bathrooms, 5,769 square feet. That is one massive home. Look at some of those pictures on the side. I always think this stuff is, it's fascinating to me. I love like historical homes. I love imagining the families that used to live in them, how they lived in them, the joy, the sorrow, the celebrations, the holidays, everything. I love envisioning that. And I'm just absolutely fascinated by that. So that house is stinking gorgeous. I love it. Look at all of those. Looks like those are dogwoods, but I can't tell. Those trees out front, they remind me of dogwood trees. We used to have those in Virginia. But Cherry blossoms. Okay, yes. Yep, maybe. Yep, you're probably right. Anyway, so look at the 3 pictures to the side. So look at the staircase. That's magnificent. So that's something you know, if you wanted to renovate that home, I don't even know that you need to do anything to that staircase. It's kind of gorgeous. Now, the paint choices in the other 2 pictures, you know, taste specific, I imagine.
Alice says she'll take it.
I knew, yes, my daughter Alyssa, she said she'll take it. I knew she would. 11 bedrooms. We can all visit there for sure. Anyway, so that is just kind of our fun little, again, for grins and giggles, our Zillow Gone Wild home of the day. I think that's fun. If you, again, that's just a Twitter account, so anyone can access it, have some fun. You probably already do, but I think that's a really fun one. Anyway, so let me see if any other questions popped up. If not, we're going to go to our next little doodah. Do we have any more questions? Don't forget, if you have a question, to put the Q and the colon, because I don't want to.
There is somebody that asked, King of Miami asked, are there any new construction without an HOA in this area? He didn't put a Q.
Gotcha.
King of Miami.
King of Miami. All right, King of Miami. Let me do this. King of Miami had asked if there were any new construction communities without HOAs. The answer is no. Not that I know of, and not here in this area where we are. You know, HOAs are something that people either are, they kind of have a major opinion one way or the other. You know, there are people that, sometimes people have work trucks, or they have campers, or they have boats, or they have, you know, they want to have a big works, you know, like a work shed out in the backyard. Things that the HOA would likely prohibit you from having or doing or parking in your community. There are reasons where I have clients that are really looking for areas that do not have an HOA. And candidly, you're going to have to go places a little bit more rural before you can find something. And it's likely not going to be something, you know, that's, oh, there it is. Perfect. Thank you. It's probably going to be further out, more rural, Claremont, Groveland, you know, other places where there might be some places in Mascot, but I think even those areas are going to have an HOA, partly because it's the makeup of a new construction community. There has to be some oversight to that. Now, the HOA covenants, codes, and restrictions could be different from place to place. So that would be something that we could definitely look into.
Allie, wants you to put that on the screen?
Allie wants me to put this one on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, when I almost passed away, I began watching Amy for her positive demeanor. I stopped. Her smile helped me a lot through the pain. They became oh, okay. I love you. I love you. Take care of yourself. You can text me anytime. You can text me, call me anytime. I'll talk you through anything. Oh my gosh. You should have warned me on that one. They told me they wanted me to put that comment up. Oh my gosh. I'm glad you're doing better. Hopefully you're doing better. Yes. Text me, call me anytime. Okay. While I stop my eyes from watering accidentally, let's go to the next little segment, which I don't even know if you care about this, but we'll see. Okay, so so Eric I think I've mentioned it before. So my kind of normal evening routine, once I think I'm done for the day, and I always say think, because last night I was laying there, and after 11 o'clock, I'm getting like 20 text messages from someone. So it happens all the time. But usually, once I feel like I'm done for the day and it's evening time, I usually go in and I will watch a show. Sometimes if I wake up early, I will get my cup of coffee. I'll go sit in the family room and I'll watch an episode of my show, whatever show I happen to be watching at that time. Kind of before the day starts. You know, if it's 7 o'clock in the morning, I feel like I'm allowed to have from 7 to 8 to not have to have my mind go immediately into work, although sometimes it's unavoidable. Anyway, so I watch. Honestly, it was funny. Eric says, "What are you watching?" I'm like, I watch so many things and I can't really remember because I'm so bad. It's kind of like mindless. Right now I'm watching The Wilds. I had watched season 1 a while back. I had totally forgotten about it. And when I was scrolling, trying to find something else to watch, because I told you last week, The Time Traveler's Wife, I finished that, at least the episodes that they had available. So I realized that season 2 of The Wilds was out. And so I started watching it. And I think I'm on episode 4, I think. There's lots of shows. I mean, I love Virgin River. That's one of my favorites. Magnolia. Can't remember what that one is. Sweet Magnolias. I think I watched that one. But I kind of watch everything. Like, I don't know. I get in these little tangents and I'll watch like, mysteries, and then I'll watch something where it's, more action, and then I'll watch, the rom-coms. But anyway, so this is The Wilds. I don't really know, honestly, what drew me to it to begin with. I don't know. If you haven't, I'm not going to, well, I don't know the ending of it, so I can't really ruin it for you, but I will tell you, it's, you'll notice this, it's, a group of girls are, plane crash. They get stranded on this island. Although it was kind of all pre-planned, and it's a survival type of a thing. So, and in season 2, you realize that simultaneously, one island has the girls, one island has the boys, and it's about who, again, survival, and, kind of how they compare. I believe the girls lasted longer, just saying. Anyway, but I'm not done with it yet, so I'm not going to tell you too much, but it's kind of cool if you like those kind of survivor-ish type shows. It's not a reality show, but anyway, kind of cool. All right, so let's see. Any more real estate questions? This has been a really fun one for me. I know we haven't talked that much about real estate, so I do want to get to some of your questions if there are any more of them. Eric will find those. I'm going to tell you a couple of things, though, just as an FYI. So I want to talk about Silverleaf real quick with Meritage, because I did reached out to them the other day for an update. So the Alcott, which is their 1-story floor plan, they don't have any more lots available for that kind of home, for the front load garage home quite yet. They sell in releases. They release an allotment of the home sites. They sell those, and then they wait, and then they release more. They sell those, and then they release more. And remember, that particular community is right beside Hamlin Elementary and Hamlin Middle School. Both of those schools. Is the middle school opening too? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Hamlin Elementary and Hamlin Middle are both opening this fall, like in 2 days, because we start school on 2 days. Thank you. They start school in 2 days. And that road that goes into that whole Silverleaf village or area is right in front of those schools. So they've really been working a lot construction-wise. They put up a new stoplight there, I think. And they've, kind of got the roads paved and getting everything ready for the school traffic that is going to be happening here in a couple of days. They actually just had their, the meet and greet, the other day at the elementary school. My girls went by to go kind of take a look, because hopefully my daughter, Elizabeth, will be a teacher there at some point. Anyway, so even though the school has had a lot of focus, obviously Meritage and the other builders, they're still working on their sections of land, getting everything prepped and ready. So it's getting better. But with Silverleaf, if you're interested in that community, again, reach out to me so I can get you on that list. Sometimes, when I'm reaching out, I'll say, I've got this client, they're interested in this. And then they kind of help navigate to get a lot released, or let us know when they are going to be released. So we do have a list of the next section that's going to be released. All right. Eric popped up a few more questions for me. So, D-Town, thanks for the example. The builders are being vultures when they offer a savings on a buy down at an above average. I wondered when they said the word vultures, and we've all heard and felt that. I wonder if, I don't know. I just wonder if she thought that we were, I don't know, if everybody was kind of pouncing. I will tell you that the new construction site agents that I work with, they're not vultures. They have a job. That's what their job is. They are commission based as well. But their job is when someone walks into the sales office, whoever's turn it is to go next is going to be the one that's going to go introduce themselves and greet that particular person and ask if they have any questions. And I don't know of any of them that are vultures. I mean, they're there to do a job and provide the information, and they do need to follow up. And but that's funny. I like that. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest, about them having a super high interest rate. And then here, let me give you this incentive so you can buy down the rate. You're like, that was absolutely not a savings to me at all. All right. So what about the older communities? Do they also have HOAs? When do HOAs start becoming so prevalent in Orlando? So yeah, I mean, candidly, older communities, if they are truly a community, and by the way, if there's going to be amenities within the community, you can rest assured there's going to be an HOA, because they have to have some way to finance that, to remedy that if there's a problem, if it needs maintenance or things like that. So if there's no amenities and it's just a little, plat of land, and you got like 5 houses and nobody is connected to one another, then that's not really going to be a community or a neighborhood. It's just going to be a home, and you're probably not going to have an HOA. So yeah, there might be some older ones out there, but if there's anything that has like a main signed entrance, any type of an amenity, whether even if it's just playgrounds or a pool or parks or things like that, probably going to have an HOA. And what's interesting is the HOA, like the house I grew up in Virginia Beach, we had a big neighborhood. We didn't have any amenities, and I don't believe we had an HOA. So I understand your questions. Like, when did that become a thing? I grew up and everybody did what they wanted. You parked what you wanted, where you wanted, and that's the way you go. My son's new home in Virginia, there's no HOA there. And it's a pretty area, but there's also no amenities there. So I think a lot of it is going to depend on that. So I think that's going to be your rule of thumb, is if there's any type of community amenities, then 100% you're going to have an HOA, because you have to find a way to do that. Eric wants me to tell you I'm up. Okay. So Eric, AKA Barney Rubble. Okay, so I'm going to take that off because I don't even know. So there's an award. So if you'll notice, there it is, the Real Producers magazine that's behind me. So I was on the cover of that a while back, and I was very grateful and honored to have, excuse me, to have been asked to be on the cover of that. It is a publication that goes out to realtors, and then they haven't had these awards the past couple years because of COVID, but they are having them this year. So they take nominations. I did not nominate myself. I don't do that. But it was for Video Marketer of the Year or something. But here's what I say. First of all, if you want to vote, great. It does not matter to me, because I don't do this for a title or a trophy or an award. I do it for you. I do the videos because, as I told you at the very beginning with my little coffee session with Jen Ross, I came into this very authentically and a little haphazardly, from a place of wanting to help them, and in return help all of you find a place to live, see what the floor plan looks like. Maybe you're out in Michigan and you can't be here to walk through that home. And then obviously things have grown a little bit, and I'm grateful and thankful for that. So there's an award out there. I don't know if I'll get it or not. I'm grateful and appreciative for whoever nominated me. That's fantastic. But you're my award. You're the trophy I get to put up somewhere, because it's the little comments from like Ricardo earlier that's my award. So thank you. All right. Any other questions? Shrina, what do the HOAs typically cover, and what is the average monthly cost? That's a loaded question. So it depends on the community. So if you have a really exorbitant community amenities, pool, tennis courts, fitness centers, clubhouse, gated, dog parks, bike trails, walking trails, gazebos, volleyball, literally the amenities can go all over the place. Lawn maintenance, if your lawn maintenance is included with your HOA. So there's no real way to tell you what the average monthly cost is, because it's always going to be dependent on, number one, the number of homes within that community to divide that cost, and what are the amenities in there. But I will say, typically speaking, if you have amenities, and when I say amenities, I'm just going to use it as a very broad term: community pool, fitness center, clubhouse, playground. Let's just use those 4. That's a pretty good typical amenity center for a community. If you've only got 100 homes, that cost is going to be a lot higher. If you've got 500 homes, cost is going to be lower. I can use the example of Waterley, because again, that's my go-to example for just about everything. And I don't know the exact number, because I think it changed recently, but I'm going to use the number of $200 or $220. Okay. So if their HOA fees in that community are around the $200 or $220 a month rate, or fee, that includes not just 1, not just 2, but 3 different amenity centers. It does include lawn maintenance. So your lawn, front yard and backyard it's mowed, it's edged. They replace the shrubs if they die, the mulch, all of that. And so for me, that's huge because I pay $135 a month to have our lawn mowed already. So to me, having them include all of that and have all of those opportunities, a lot of it is going to be dependent too on what you're looking for in a community. If you're never going to use amenities, then maybe you can find a community without them. But yeah, so, the monthly cost. So I can tell you in our first community where we lived, it was a 66 home community. We had no amenities other than a playground, and we did have a pond with a fountain. So the fountain had to be maintained, the little right? So that had to be maintained, but that was it. There was no amenities. It was a playground and a pond fountain. And our HOA fees were like $86 a month there, I believe. Is that right? I think so. Yes. Yes. So it was like $86 a month there. But it was only 66 homes dividing the cost of that. So now we're in a community where our HOA fees are like $115 a month. No lawn maintenance is included. It wasn't included in the other one either. But we do have a community pool, fitness center, clubhouse, huge playground, lots of green space and things like that. So honestly, there's really no way to give you an average. But I would say if you were to try to put together, let's just say this, if you're trying to put together maybe a budget for what you should allocate for that, I would say, why don't you allocate, do $100 a month. If you want to go over, maybe $150 a month, somewhere around there. Because that seems to be on average, you're talking between the 1 and 150 mark, a little bit higher if it's got more amenities or fewer homes. Okay. All right. And then over here, Captain Banana, our landscaping and garbage collection inclusive of HOAs. No. Well, not garbage collection. Landscaping it depends on the community. And the landscaping, if you're talking about your personal landscaping or if it's the community. So in every HOA, your HOA fee includes your common area maintenance. So your entrances, any of the community green space, things like that, that's included in your HOA because they have to contract that out for those maintenance crews to do that. But garbage collection, no, that's going to be in your county stuff that you have to deal with. As far as your personal landscaping, whether it's your own private property, that sometimes is included in your HOA fee. That is going to be dependent on the community. Not many communities include it, but some do. So again, that's just something we'd have to look at to see. All right. Okay, guys, I think you are probably tired of me by now. You guys tired? Everybody can give me the thumbs up. You're tired of me? Yep. It's been about an hour. So that's about where we all start to yawn and say, okay, Amy, that was fun, but let's get on with our day. All right, guys. So I want to thank you again, most sincerely. I love these Monday coffee times, our chats, our get-togethers. I want you to feel the big giant hug that I'm giving you. I feel it right back. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching. Don't forget, if you need anything, where is my little doodah? Where? Oh, right there. Don't forget, if you need me to, you can feel free to text me or call me, 407-848-8042. And all of these questions, if you want to text them to me randomly, great. If you want to save it for next Monday, you can do that too. All right, guys. Thank you again so much for watching. I really sincerely appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Please stay safe, stay well. Remember, we love you, and happy house hunting. Bye.